Hello everyone, we are from Group 4. We'll be explaining about politeness and interaction in this opportunity. This group is consists of me, myself, Fatimesia Azura, Elika Octavia Saputri, and Yusra Handeska Putra Tanjung. Now we move on to the material. A linguistic interaction is necessarily a social interaction. In social interaction, there are internal and external factors such as range of interaction and social distance that influence not only what we say but also how we are interpreted. The investigation of that impact is normally carried out in terms of politeness. Politeness strategies are speech acts that express concern for others and minimize threats to self-esteem or face in particular social contexts. In politeness, we have the concept face. Face is the public self-image of a person that refers to that emotional and social sense of self that everyone has and expected everyone else to recognize it. So, politeness in an interaction can be defined as the means employed to show awareness of another person's face. Otherwise, showing the equivalent awareness when the other is socially close is often described in terms of friendliness. Look at the two examples. By understanding the previous concepts that have been told, now you are understand that the first example is the term of politeness and the second example is have a term in friendliness. Now we move on to the phase 1. Phase 1 is an expected face of somebody. Here we have two concepts. First is face-threatening act. Face-threatening act is an act of someone saying something that represents a threat to another individual's expectation regarding self-image. Then we have the concept face-saving act. Face-saving act is something that the speaker says to lessen the possible threats. To understand the previous definitions more, look at this example. Imagine a young neighbor is playing loud music at night when an elderly couple is trying to sleep. This conversation happened between that couple. The husband said, "I'm going to tell him to stop that awful music right now." But his wife interrupts by saying, "Perhaps you could just ask him if he is going to stop soon because it's getting a bit late and people need to go to sleep." The act that the husband planned to tell the neighbor to stop the music at the moment is an face-threatening act. But the interruption of his wife that says to just ask him if he could stop soon because it is getting late is the plan of face-saving act by lessening the threat of saying directly to stop that awful music to the young neighbor. Negative and positive face. A person's negative face is the need to be independent, to have freedom of action, and not to be imposed on by others. A person's positive face is the need to be accepted, even liked by others, to treat it as a member of the same group, and to know that his or her wants are shared by others. When a face-saving act is oriented to the person's negative face, it is called negative politeness. And a saving face act that is concerning someone's positive face is called positive politeness. You need to consider in this concept the word negative is not always related with bad things, but it is more like what I have explained before. Negative politeness here is the need to be independent and to have freedom. So it is more about to free your talk. That's all from me about three terms in politeness and interaction. We move on to the next presenter, Yusra Handeska.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Yusra Handeska. In this occasion, I would like to present. The first material is about self and other. Say nothing. One way to see the relevance of the relationship between this politeness concept and language use is to take a single speech event and method the different interpretations associated with different possible expressions used within that event. For example, you arrive at important lecture, pull out your notebook to take notes, but discover that you don't have anything to write with. You think that the person sitting next to you may provide the solutions. Your first choice is whether to say something or not. You can, of course, rummage in your bag, search rather avidly through your pockets, go back into your bag without uttering a word, but with the vague intention that your problem will be recognized. This say nothing approach may or may not work, but if it does, it's because the other over and not because the self acts. For example, self looks in back, other over pants here uses. Many people seem to prefer to have their needs recognized by others without having to express those needs in language. When those needs are recognized as the example, then clearly more has been communicated than was said. The next material is about say something off on record. Even if you decide to say something, you don't actually have to ask for anything. Example, oh, I forgot my pen. I wonder where I put my pen. This and other similar types of statement are not directly addressed to other. The other can act as if the statement have not even been heard. They are technically described as being off record. In casual descriptions, they might be referred to as hints. Once again, an off-record statement may or may not succeed, but if it does, it will be because more has been communicated than was said. In contrast to such off-record statement, you can directly address the other as a means of expression you need. These direct address forms are technically described as being on record. The most direct approach using impressive forms such as those in example. Person is directly asked for something, like give me a pen or lend me your pen. Yeah. This full on record form may be followed by expressions like please and would you, which serve to soften the demand and are called mitigating device. And the last material is about positive and negative politeness. A positive politeness strategy leads the readers to appeal to a common goal and even friendship via expressions such as, for example, how about letting me use your pen? Or, hey buddy, I will appreciate it if you will let me use your pen. These on-record expressions do represent a greater risk for the speaker of suffering a refusal and may be preceded by some getting to know your talk of a kind presented, like the example, designed to establish the necessary common ground for this strategy. Hi, how's it going? It is okay if I sit here? We must be interested in the same crazy stuff. You take a lot of notes too, huh? Say, do me a big favor and let me use one of your pens. However, in most English-speaking contexts, a face-saving is more commonly performed via a negative politeness strategy. The most typical form used is a question containing a modal verb, like the example, could you lend me a pen? Or, I'm so sorry to bother you, but can I ask you for a pen or something? Maybe that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next material will be explained by me. So we are going to talk about strategies. The tendency to use positive politeness forms emphasizing closeness between speaker and hearer can be seen as a solidarity strategy. It may be the principal operating strategy among a whole group, or it may be an option used by an individual speaker on a particular occasion. Linguistically, such a strategy will include personal information, use of nicknames, sometimes even abusive terms, and shared dialect or slang expressions. Frequently, a solidarity strategy will be marked via inclusive terms such as we and let's. The tendency to use negative politeness form emphasizing the hearer's right to freedom can be seen as a different strategy. It can be the typical strategy of a whole group or just an option used on a particular occasion. A different strategy is involved in what is called formal politeness. It is impersonal and can include expressions that refer to neither the speaker and nor the hearer. Okay, let's look the examples here. For solidarity strategy, hey, let's go to bazaar. Everyone is already there. We will have fun. And then from different strategy, the examples you hear, there is going to be a bazaar. If you are into it, it will be much fun. These general types of strategies are illustrated via utterances which are actually central to the speech event. Okay, we go to the next slide. Presequences. In the form of the presequences, face-saving behavior, however, is often at work well before such utterances are produced. The concept of face-saving behavior might be helpful in understanding how participants and in an interaction inevitably understand more than is being said. The basic assumption from the perspective of politeness is that face is typically at risk when the self needs to accomplish something involving other. The greatest risk appears to be when the other is put in a difficult position. One way of avoiding risk is to provide an opportunity for the other to halt the potentially risky act. For instance, rather than simply make a request, speakers will often first produce what can be described as a pre-request. Let's look the examples here. You may I say something to you? Sure. You have to be in meeting room in 5 minutes. Okay. So the sentence "May I say something to you" is a pre-request for the whole conversations. And then the benefit of pre-request element is that it can be answered with a go ahead or with a stop. Stop means here a refusal. The second speakers can determine whether he or she want to accept it or not. And pre-sequences are also commonly used in making invitations. We could say, do you have any plan? Or pre-sequences are commonly used in making invitations. We could say, tunggu dulu, salah, ulang lagi lah dari awal yang ini. Okay, let's Okay, let's look the next slide. The benefit of the pre-request element is that it can be answered with a go ahead or with a stop. Stop means here a refusal. The second speakers can determine whether he or she want to accept or not. And pre-sequences are also commonly used in making invitations. We could say, do you have any plan on Friday? Or what are you going to do on Friday? These two sentences can be a pre-invitation question. And pronouncements are basically being used by children to check whether their parents are willing to pay attention or not. Sentences like, Mom, you know what? Or, Mom, guess what happened? Usually are being used by them. Okay, that's all for our presentations today. Thank you for your attention. We are sorry for any mistakes that we made. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.